Hello.
Greetings, everyone.
Gr- Greetings. So the thumbnail for this is probably going to be Luné this time.
Yeah,
It's
that's fun.
it's
Maybe I should have just stayed quiet.
it was Ari for the past couple of them.
With a
Yep.
big smile on her face, like, yeah,
Yep.
this is
Yeah.
where you want to be.
That's gonna be you too.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We will. I'll be looking and then being like, oh no.
So welcome everybody to another tea time. And I know there are a number of people who watch this just based on the numbers. So I'm happy for that. And the Tea Time tribe here is looking to grow. So Ari put all the links together for me, and I'll cut and paste them into the description for this video. And send an email, and you'll get the Zoom link, and we'll do this.
This is our space to be the humans that we are and enjoy each other, express. It's a space that all of us, like Michael, Luna, Carl, and I think I can speak for all of us and say that we wanted time to just relax and enjoy connecting with people, like feeling good and happy to see each other and talk and enjoy. So, like Michael said, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I want to show up and I want to talk to these people, then you can send him an email and you get the link and we all get to connect.
Yay. We get to meet you. I'm sure you're awesome, whoever you are right now. You should probably come, you know? Oh my goodness.
And yeah, we've been doing this a few times here, and every time, no matter how I feel before, I always enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Always
I think,
feel uplifted afterwards.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here. What about
So
you, Carl? How do you feel after?
Well, no, I'm very glad to talk to kindred spirits, to meet with people, and to share ideas and things like that. About spirituality or any other topic. Uh, so I'm very glad with the connection that we had these past weeks. Always looking forward. So very
Yeah.
nice.
so yesterday I was going to make a video and I took a bunch of takes, just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was blocked. I don't know if that happens to any of you guys.
Yes, it does. I have recorded like videos 2 times in the past, like in a row, and then I'm like, nah, that wasn't right. That wasn't the right one, and then I won't post it. And then I
Yep.
wait for a different day when I'm in a different energy where I'm like, yeah, I can actually talk about this in like the best way, right? In this moment instead. I do get that feeling. So yeah.
So you
Yeah.
prepare the ideas. You have like a screenplay or something like that.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a subject that I am interested in and think about a lot and have seen a lot of content on. But when I was expressing it to the camera, it just didn't work.
Work. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yep.
because most of your videos always are very spontaneous. It comes across spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous. Yep.
Mhm.
And I have to be in the right energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Sometimes
yet,
it's not the right time.
yeah. And one of the videos I was saying, yeah, I'm not in the right mindset to do this. So I'm gonna talk about the subject at tea time and see what happens there, you know. But even that one, I'm like, I'm not posting this.
I think that can be good because every word we share with each other plants a new seed in the minds that are listening to like our voice. So I had a friend that I met while I was in Albania, and she reminded me of this, and she told me all about like being conscious of what you share on your social media, because like anything that I talk about could make people focus on a number of different things. So it is like a responsibility to hold, but I think it's good to hold that responsibility to think like, what are some of the possibilities that other people could have in their mind when they listen to me talk about this, and what kind of impact could this have? Like, there's no way to completely know, but to just get a little kind of picture of the impact of what I'm creating, that does kind of lead me to like making a video and being like, maybe I don't know if I want to post this, or maybe I want to film it on a different day. But I think it's worth it because we do impact each other more than we realize.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I know when I like film my videos, I watch them back before I post them to kind of re-listen to what I say, to be like, how is this going to be perceived in certain ways? And not really from like a self-critical standpoint, but more of like, what did I say about this topic and how is that going to impact people when they are listening? Like, is it going to be beneficial or is it going to be like something else? Like, I have to feel it out for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, like, am I gonna put someone in a really low vibe where they're like gonna
I
want to
hope
watch
not.
a different video? Like,
Yeah.
like, ooh.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like when you have a channel like that, you want to make sure that you're making videos that are like authentic from you in like a good place and aren't going to, like you said, like give the wrong vibes, you know? Because we all have low times, I feel, and we don't really want to be making content then, really.
Yes, and I look at it as like YouTube is a place, like it's a place energetically and digitally, but I have a picture in my mind of like, just like I show up in the grocery store, like, and I also show up like outside at the park, and like all the different places I go. Like, I'm not gonna go into the grocery store and start singing a song and tell everybody, come gather around and listen to my song. But like, I could probably
Right.
do that like at a concert, or if I'm the performer, you know, like there are certain sets that encourage certain energies. So like, if there is an energy, like I've had this happen before where I like there is expression, but it's like, oh, like I'm gonna express this with my friend, or I'm gonna express this with my boyfriend. And then there's other expressions where I'm like, oh, like I know that this is for YouTube. Like this is like meant for this space. Which I think can be confused with like people like wondering if certain expressions are fake, which like I kind of thought that that was a little critical in some areas, because you know people wanted to see more real content, but then I was thinking like people aren't going to show up to the grocery store like naked and like
sobbing
this is
in front of
me, or
everyone.
they're not going to like, you know, so it's like it's a place that we're showing up to be seen. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you want it to be productive and like helpful for people. So like sometimes I guess it is good to like talk about certain things, but you have to be mindful, like, is that something I really want to share? And how is that going to like affect other people? Because like you could talk about a serious topic and maybe that would help someone, but I feel like sometimes you want to make sure you say it in the right way. And I don't think that that's fake necessarily. I think it's more of the responsibility of making sure that you are conveying something in a helpful way rather than a harmful way. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So the topic was the masculine and the feminine, you
mm,
know, masculine and feminine dynamics, like interpersonal, but also within the individual, you know, like
Mm,
the Jungian thing where you have both masculine and feminine within you.
that's a good topic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel quite qualified to talk about it.
mm,
Why?
I just didn't feel it. I
Hmm.
mean, it felt like it should be presented in just this kind of space where it's a discussion instead of uh,
mm.
a monologue. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know,
I
like,
would be down for a discussion like that. That'd be cool.
yeah,
Yeah, why not? Especially because we have, we have masculine and feminine energies in separate people here. So that would be
yes,
helpful to like,
right. Yeah,
talk about, discuss
yeah,
for sure.
I think it's when loving yourself, like the video that Lune was talking about or was doing, that the masculine and the feminine is also an important factor to
Mhm.
to recognize that you have both inside of yourself, so it's like
Yeah,
that you don't have to miss that feminine side as a male or vice versa. um,
Mm.
yeah,
There's so much inside of us, too. I always say there's an entire universe inside of every single human being.
I
Like,
really love that. I love that
yeah,
so much.
but
it's
okay,
not.
Michael says that he maybe didn't feel qualified enough to talk about this or that subject, but I think even when you don't really have the know-how or the expertise of something, then you still can have a valuable opinion or a
Yeah,
valuable, so uh,
Mhm.
yeah, you can express how you feel
because
about it, how you
every
think
person
about
has,
it.
yeah,
yeah, every person has an intuitive feeling about the subject and can maybe bring something to the table that is that is of value,
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I like this group, because we might bring people to YouTube that normally wouldn't make a video on their own, but they can say like what they're thinking and feeling like in a group. It's nice
Mhm.
to have this group space.
Yeah, it definitely helps me reflect on different topics and like think about them more like in different ways. Like I could be thinking about these topics on my own and I'd have like a certain view of it and then I'll be talking to you guys and then like you think of something I never thought of and I'm like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Like it's like a new, I don't know, you like learn more when you're interacting with people. You bounce off of each other. So that's special. I don't know.
yeah. You know, I thought of talking about my own story with it, where you know, years ago when I was in the rat race, I was fairly masculine dominant, and you know, I never daydreamed, didn't have much insight. I was just grinding away, you know. And then when I first encountered spirituality, well, then I was all in with that. And the first chakra that I consciously opened was the third eye.
Mhm.
And but that was out of balance also. I got sort of what I guess is called a spiritual psychosis,
Ooh.
you know, where and then it felt unpleasant, out of balance, you know. Um, but it was when I got the masculine and feminine chakras balanced that seems to work, and feels right.
That's really good work that you did.
Because for me, the feminine side is where the intuition comes from. You know, like if I want to make progress in science, I do a lot better if I receive intuition and ideas from the spiritual realm.
Like a
Mhm.
validation a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
validates your feeling and
Like how the mathematician Ramanujan got his ideas. They came from the spiritual realm, whereas the way most mathematicians get their ideas is by grinding away at mathematical problems and mathematical proofs.
Mhm. So it's recognizing that it's really a balance of both of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The intuition and like looking through it mathematically, like on
Mhm.
paper. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, like that message from my future self at the meditation that we did a couple of times ago. That was the intuition. You know, that was the idea that came from elsewhere. But the grind is now I'm looking at all these space-time algebra lectures and building the proof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because in spirituality, it's also about the fabric of reality, about consciousness, and I think in science must overlap also, must have also this kind of connection to the consciousness and to the spiritual realm and to the things unseen, because you're trying sometimes to prove things that you can't touch or that's not tangible. Uh, so, but I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a scientific person, but
Mm.
It's so synchronistic that this topic is coming up because I do have like my own reflections that have come up recently where it goes with what Michael was saying, but it's more like in the feminine because like I was born in feminine form. And the this poet that I follow on Instagram, she posted something and I'll paraphrase a little bit of what it said, but it basically said that the feminine there was an idea that the feminine was placed in the world to be looked at, and that made women very like outside themselves, and their awareness was a lot of women experience their awareness being outside of their body, constantly worried about what everyone's thinking about their appearance, and a lot of their focus will be on, you know, their upkeep for their physical body, like the nails and the makeup. And like there was a time when I was in college, I put self tanner on my skin like every other week. Like I don't know how much money I spent on self tanner, but did I care that my skin was a certain tone? No.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
thought that other people did, like in my college environment. So like stuff like that. And it felt really good for me to read something like this because I never, you know, I think I kind of beat myself up and thought that there was something wrong with me, where I was like, wow, why do I care so much about what everyone thinks? And, you know, I would think about the abandonment wound and think like, oh, I was just abandoning myself. But then reading what this poet expressed brought me to this idea of, oh, like it was just something like in society, and it's something that's shifting now, and I'm just a consciousness that is aware of the shift, and there's no one to blame and no one to be upset with. We can just move on And now like I get to put on my pretty earrings because I know they make me happy, and if people like them, that's cool, but like I'm not like, you know, spending half my paycheck to impress with the earrings. You know what I mean? Like it's a different
Yeah.
energy where it's like, as an energy of source that's in the woman body, like I can still make my body beautiful, and I can still, you know, purchase things that enhance my appearance, but it gets to be more fun, and it gets to be more rooted in like happiness other than like the fear of like what people think.
Yeah. More like your own expression. Like, what do you actually want to wear? What do you actually want to have? Instead of what should I have? What should I wear? Because other people wear that or like that. I've thought about that a lot too. I've observed like a lot of women like spending so much money on like different things. And I'm just like, this is kind of sad in a way because they feel like they need these things to feel good about themselves. But that's not true. Like, it's just, it just makes me sad inside. I'm like, but you're already beautiful. Like, you don't have to worry about that, please.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like it's the energy behind it.
Yeah.
I never get my nails done because I don't like it. Like I don't like the feeling of the fake nails. I don't like it. But if I saw someone that like loved it, and like, you know, they
Yeah.
can put different colors and different art, like that's expression, which is like what you're saying. Like
Exactly.
it's like, oh, this is what I want to express to the world. I want to express these cool things on my nails. But then me, it's like, that would prevent me from like when I type, I like it when I don't hear any noise. Like just what I prefer. Dude,
Yeah,
and I remember when I first started, like in my young 20s, I literally have a memory of me being on a date and like asking a guy, like, you don't care if my nails aren't done, right? Like, does it bother you? And I was like insecure about it. And like the guy was literally like, what? Like,
That's the funniest thing is that most guys actually don't care. But in society, you're taught that you need to cater to men and that they do care. And it's like, why can't we just like be people and like dress the way we want and like look the way we want and not stop worrying about it so much? But it's very socialized in women to care about their appearance and like be afraid that they don't look the right way or they're not like attractive enough or, you know, stuff like that. It's just, I'm glad we're shifting out of that. I've seen the shift too, and I'm like, thank you. Please. Much
it gets
needed.
characterized in men too, right? Like,
Yeah.
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 This is a fabulous discussion. This is what I was looking for, but didn't have for my video about it.
There you go. Here it is. Your feeling was correct. The discussion here.
Yep.
yeah, and there is also so much social pressure, about things that are maybe a little bit hollow, and then people they become hollow, and so it's
Mhm.
instead of like Ari says, like embracing the happiness and doing something because you love it, and not because it's advertised or commercialized and things like that.
And you're right, when people are so focused on what everyone thinks, your energy is projected, like it's in all these other places. And like that was a big part of my awakening, was coming back into my body. And like I was someone that my consciousness wasn't like in my body like at all for years. So like the first time I'm in a yoga studio and they're telling you to like breathe into your body, like the feelings of ecstasy of finally like I'm in my heart. Like I haven't occupied this space in like 12 years, people. Like, whoa. And then that was when I was in a college environment. And I was waiting for this because this is where I can actually say it and I can actually reach that state of excitement and not be scared that I'm gonna freak anyone out because everybody's so numbed out and no one ever talks like this. But it's like, oh, like that's what I would want people to know, is that it does feel so good to be in the body. And like I remember a friend of mine really helped me. This was recently in 2023. A friend of mine that I met, his name was John. He was just like this very monk-like man, and he was talking to me about my face, and he told me to get behind my face. And he was like, doesn't it
Oh,
feel so good to be like you're the one, like these are your lips and those are your eyes, like get behind that, get in that. And like that took me, that's a whole new experience of like actually being like inside my hands, inside my eyes, instead of, you know, having my energy like out here so I could see what I look like, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
I
how
know
you can,
exactly what you're talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh my gosh. Like I've experienced that too for like a really long time. I just felt like I was like all over the place. My energy felt like woo, woo, like constantly everywhere. And then eventually, like I think in the past year actually is when I've started actually coming into my body, and I'm like, wow, I have a vessel that like I can experience instead of feeling like, you know, I'm everywhere else. It's, I guess in a way, it's kind of like taking your power back. That's what people call it. It's kind of similar to that, where you're bringing your energy back to you and you're like claiming it back to yourself and being like, actually, this is me. Like, I don't have to be everywhere else, and I don't have to cater to these ways that I have to be. I can come back to me and choose what I want to be. So, coming back to that awareness, that's what I feel like
Yeah.
I'm understanding from what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the past, I was also much more conditioned, you know, like I should
Mhm.
be like this, I should be like that. This person will think this, things like, and then you're busy with things that really don't really matter, you know, that much.
Yeah. It's like a waste of energy on things that like don't matter to you and aren't like who you actually want to be. It's like just what you think you have to be. Um, yeah.
I really like that way of saying it, though. Get behind your face.
Yeah. So
yeah,
cool.
like get in there and operate it and feel all the things that are happening.
Start living. Yeah.
I'm going to remember that. But pressure from society and advertising, which is where a lot of that seems to come from. I guess from the male side, the pressure is to be strong, you know, like you gotta get to the gym, bro. You gotta more plates, more dates. Remember that, man.
What? Is that a real thing?
Yeah,
What?
there are content creators out there
No.
that will say that. Yeah. And then
Oh gosh.
like there is a channel called How to Beast. This guy's name
Oh,
is this guy's name is David. He has a million plus subscribers, and all of his videos are him driving his fancy car, and he drives his BMW to the gym, and then you see him doing the seated row thing, and his muscles are bulging, and yeah, and then he does the deadlift, and he says 400 pounds
Yeah.
PB, bro, personal best.
And then he's dead at 40 or something.
Well, yeah, I mean the guy has his health problems because he was doing testosterone augmentation.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
not good.
right. Um,
Yeah, there are also people who doing Botox themselves, and
Mm.
then they have like necrophilic skin and things like that. The skins just start to die, and
Yeah.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's
And What about like BBLs? Like people get the Brazilian butt lifts, but it's like deadly. Like you can die during the procedures, like because they put
Yeah.
fat into it and it's not like it's very dangerous. Stuff like that. Where you're like, oh my gosh. Like people are doing these things to look better, but it's like actually
The
like it's
opposite.
deadly and like completely horrible for their health.
Mm,
It's just how did we get here? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, like Michael says, in the male society, it's a lot about competition. Also, it's always competition and being the strongest. It's maybe with humans in general, a lot of competition. I don't. Maybe it's healthier to be competitive and to try to be better, but it can also be deadening. It can also be uh, eliminating the other person and things like that, and instead of sharing, instead of doing
Yeah.
something together and building something together. It's
Yeah, it can create like power dynamics kind of like, oh, I'm better than you, or I have more stuff than you, or I'm like cooler, stuff like that. Where it's like you put others down to feel better about yourself. Like people think that you need to do that, but it's so not true. Like everyone, I think we talked about this when we did the meditation and we were discussing it after, but like just because someone like is happy doesn't mean that like you can't be happy. Like you can both exist in the world and like have value, and it does nobody has to be better than anyone else, and nobody is better than anyone else. I think that's something that's important to clarify. Like it doesn't matter what you look like, what you have, what you don't, like it doesn't matter. We're all just souls and we all have like value just by that fact. So it's like, but most people don't really have the higher awarenesses, so I think they just feel like they have to do that to feel in control, you know
Yeah.
society puts that forward, so that's probably why a lot of people feel they have to do that.
Yeah, the new earth is not zero sum. There's plenty of abundance for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have to compete. And over competing, what we do is collaborate
Yeah.
and create something far greater than the sum of its parts.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
abundance emerges. I think that's a big thing. People think that it's scarcity and you got to fight for every bit of value that there is out there
Yeah.
when the abundance is infinite.
Yeah, and it's within you already. Like it's
Yeah.
already there. It's just realizing that, remembering that. That's the challenge. And believing that, because you're like, no, it's not. Like, I gotta do this. But no, you don't. You're already like perfect as you are. So yeah.
I was brainstorming examples of people that are like living in this, and a few different like musicians came to mind, like musicians that write their songs and create their music and put together great performances. Like that makes me think of that frequency of I'm here on this earth, I'm following my heart. These are the aspects of me that I'm excited to share with the world. And because I chose to do that, like I have all this material abundance that like that's that narrative that I'm thinking that these artists must have in their head. Like I chose to follow my heart and I chose to do what I love to do. And now here I am with like,
Yeah.
you're just taken care of and you just have everything you need. And I'm excited for like more people to be in that energy. I would hope that that's the direction that we're going in. I feel like, it's kind of harmful to control other people. So I feel like the only thing we can do is be in tune with our hearts, and then I don't know, like I can just tune into my heart and then share what comes through and then like hope for the best from there. I was also thinking about Jim Carrey, and I know that
Oh yeah, I heard about him.
in
Yeah.
1997, he was sitting on the Oprah Winfrey Show talking about driving into like this place where he would just be outside with nature and he would just say to the world, I'm a millionaire. I got signed to work on these movies, and this happened and that happened. And then everything he wanted did happen. And you know, he got to be at a level where he was at an event and he just was like, I can't think of a more meaningless place to be. We're all dressed up for I think he
I love that.
was saying the event was about icons, and I remember him saying something about how like, what does it even mean to be an icon? None of us even exist.
We're all icons, technically.
I think that's kind of what he was pointing to.
Yeah,
But the interviewer was like, what do you mean? I don't exist. I'm not really here. And he was like, no.
That's not what I mean, dude. You'd have to, you know,
Yeah.
get there.
It was so great. And then like now he's not making any more movies. He's painting. Like he's
Hell
doing
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what he's doing in this moment now, but
Good for him though.
right? Like
Yeah.
that I think he is a nice example of and I'm sure, you know, his life isn't perfect. Like all of our lives haven't been like we just came to earth and chose to shine. Like we've all had our problems. But I admire what he has created on earth, and finding energy like that helps me.
Yeah, I love that. It's like a nice little like example role model to be like, okay, like he was able to be his authentic self and do what he loved and like, you know, really believe in it. And he didn't have to tear anyone else down to do it. He just did it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
that's the power of authenticity, because like I can't think of anyone else that's anything like Jim Carrey.
He is like a really special actor. Like he's very unique. And I
The
think part of
voices
it,
and the faces.
yeah, he was in like Lemony Snicket or something, and I was like, wow, dude, you play this villain so well. Like, look at you.
Yes.
I remember
I
being
am-
creeped out by him, actually. He played it so well.
Yeah. I am your dear cousin Olaf.
I never saw that.
I used to have nightmares about that guy, okay? Like,
Oh
Yeah.
no.
it was good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was plugged into any masculine programming. I think he escaped.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
And he was able, I mean, I bet you he's got agents and people offering him contracts right now, maybe. I don't know. I don't know his life, but I think that it's possible that he's also immune to being like super into the material world. Like he's made a lot of money from all the movies he's made, and his heart has now called him to not make any more movies. Like he's like wants to do other things, and so
Yeah.
I think that's another cool thing that I noticed, that like I don't know for sure because I've never heard him say it and I don't know him, but it kind of seems like he's very connected to
Yeah.
good energy.
Yeah. And the thing is too, even if he wasn't, like just thinking that allows you to feel that and to think about it in that way. So, you know,
Yeah, like there is someone out in the world that can be part of Hollywood and star in movies
yeah,
and still be like a good soul and
still be them. Exactly.
speak their true opinion at the red carpet event. And
Oh
not
my
get
gosh.
so caught up in, oh, I look so perfect in this picture and everybody thinks I'm a movie star.
I think there's a new artist, Chapel Roan or something. I think she was on like the carpet the other day or something, and like the paparazzi wouldn't leave her alone. They like yelled something at her and she just yelled back, like, what? Like I'm not gonna let you disrespect me. And people were like, oh my gosh. But the reality is, like, they're people. Just because they're celebrities doesn't mean that they have to take disrespect, because they're human beings. And I think that, like, shifting that narrative too will help celebrities, because I feel like in the place that they are, they do get a lot of pressure and a lot of abuse, and it gets swept under the rug because of the argument, oh, they're a celebrity. Like, they knew that this was going to happen. But that's like not, it doesn't matter. Like, they're human beings. Just because they're like famous and they are well known doesn't mean that they're any less human.
Yeah.
That to me is like important, I feel like, to recognize.
Yeah, I have being famous. See, I don't think that's for me.
Yeah,
I
not in
like,
this landscape.
yeah, I like to be able to go outside, take a walk, be
Not be
anonymous.
noticed. Not
Yeah,
be noticed. Yeah. Not have to wear
yeah,
sunglasses and a hat everywhere you go.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot about it that's good and a lot about it that's like not as good. But it depends on who you are, I guess, and like what you want, what you like, what you prefer. I know a lot of people are like, I do not want to be known by that many people. I want everybody to leave me alone. And then there's other people who are like, yeah, I want to be around everyone and I want to have fun and like constantly do things. It's like, it depends on the person,
Mm.
and what they want to do. But yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, I do not want to have to hire security.
Yeah, you just want to go out and like eat something and there's like people staring at you and like, hey, want to take a picture? And you're like, no, I just want to eat my steak. Like, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we should give celebrities some grace in a way too because of that, because they have to deal with like all of that. I feel like it probably is really hard to remain sane with all that pressure and all that difficulty. So, for those who can do that, that's admirable.
Mhm. I just heard a lot about that actually. Yeah, I'm still processing everything we're saying. It's been really good.
I do that too. I just sit here and I listen and I'm like, yeah, that and that and that. It's really interesting listening to people talk about things and like how you respond to it in your own unique way. It's so cool.
Yeah, my mind is still stuck on this idea that a certain career would open up people to blatantly disrespect and violate other people's boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, there's people that like they get obsessed with celebrities and they really do just like don't view them as human, and they just kind of do whatever they want and they say whatever they want and make whatever they want about these people, like they're not real, like they're just characters, but they're real people. And so I feel like when you do that, it kind of crosses a line where you're infringing upon someone else. Like, even just by putting that towards them is kind of like violating, I feel.
And I could see how any galactic species that possibly has complete and total harmony amongst their species, like maybe there's a type of being where they're all completely telepathic and it's just like they all make their planet so beautiful and wonderful, and then they see humanity and they're just like,
That's
Well,
interesting.
you threw something at your counterpart.
in the higher, I
Oh my
guess
gosh.
in the higher realms, there's no such thing as a hierarchy.
No, not really. No, we're just vibing. We're just energy.
Like, there isn't somebody in charge.
No.
There's not ranks.
Yeah, I don't like one-upmanship either. Like
Yeah,
I'm better than the other person, or maybe or he's lower, or things like that. It's
right.
very unhealthy. Uh,
Like those who are disrespectful to the service workers.
Oh my goodness, I can't stand that. I cannot
Yeah.
stand that.
Everyone deserves respect.
Yeah.
I was so unaware of workplace hierarchy when I first got like my first job that there was an assistant manager position open and there were 3 people that wanted to be the assistant manager, and I thought that all 3 of them were gonna be the assistant manager. Like
That's
all
so
3 of them
funny.
they were doing like all these special tasks that none of the other staff had to do because it was like for them to become the assistant manager. I thought all 3 of them were gonna be the assistant manager. I didn't realize it wasn't until there was this whole situation that happened that I'm not gonna go into, but I was like, oh, this is a competition. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how much competition there is
Yeah.
in workplaces.
I remember saying to myself, like, I've got to learn about this Earth place because I really don't understand.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we come here not knowing how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
It takes years to figure it out.
Yeah, like I don't know if our brain is blank when we're born, maybe. Like
Mhm.
as a baby, I don't know what it's
Yeah,
like.
like the blank slate theory or something.
Yeah,
There's
like
like a philosophy with that.
are we just without thought, without memory, and then it
Yeah,
all gets added as our life goes on?
yeah. Or we're accustomed to our higher dimensional existence without
Yeah.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like
And
it could
without-
be true that a baby comes in like knowing all the secrets of the universe and they
Yeah.
know everything and they know like a bunch of stuff, but they
Like-
can't like
They
Well-
can't say it. It's just up
Yeah.
maybe
there.
that's why they cry all the time.
where
I
we
want
come-
to tell you, but I
I'm
can't.
surrounded by idiots.
where we come from, it's collaboration. You know, we collaborate, we don't compete. And so then we come here and wonder why the heck can't there be 3 assistant managers?
Yeah. Why can't we just live? I always think about it. I'm like, this world is built in such a way that like we all have like certain roles and stuff. Why can't we just all like come together and be like I don't know. In my brain, I'm like, it would be really easy to be harmonious. But I'm like, well, the way the world is built right now, like no, it wouldn't be. But I really wish. But but I can just see everyone like just enjoying each other in a community and like just functioning together in harmony, and like nobody feels like they're, better than anyone else. They're just being themselves, being happy, enjoying Earth, like the way that it is, nature and everything, and not really worrying about like these expectations that aren't really real, like these roles that aren't really real. They're just kind of created. From imbalanced energies. It's really strange.
Do you believe that
I-
that harmonious community that you can see, do you believe that you will live that in this lifetime?
To some capacity, yes. I don't think worldwide. That may take a while, but
Yeah.
I think
It
in
excites
certain
me
places.
to hear you talk
Yeah.
about it. It's like I can see that too. So
Mhm.
Well, I've heard
Yeah.
400 years.
Oh,
That's what Ra says.
well, we won't be here for that, but maybe we'll come back for a bit.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, party.
Yeah. But I mean we're certainly headed that direction.
Yeah, we are.
and there are places, there's a place in Seattle and it's a private community and it's cool. I like stumbled upon it accidentally and I forget what it was called, but it had a big name and like a sign and it looked like people were like living there and it was cool. And then I met someone else that he said him and a couple of his friends, like he was like a man in his like 50s and he was like, me and my friends, we want to all buy a piece of land and we want to like I think it's a common thing now that people are wanting to
Yep.
buy land and build homes together and have that feeling of community where you're around people that you can really be yourself and having that balance between being known and being unknown.
Exactly. And like
Yeah.
being in a place where like you can really you all create the abundance together and you enjoy it together. And it's not like you're on your own. Because community, like when stuff gets hard, it's a lot easier when you have a community to face
Yeah.
things, especially in this realm where like anything can happen. Like someone could die or you lose money or something. But if you have like a support system like that, it's like you all can help each other out and you don't really suffer as much, you know?
Yeah.
And those
Yes.
beautiful
Yeah.
houses in the world that have the movie theater and the pool and the
Oh
bowling
my
alley and
gosh.
all those things. I'm like,
Look.
why would I build that for just me and my family members? Like, I would
Exactly.
build it for the human species.
There,
And
people have these giant mansions and then there's like one or two people living there. I'm like, what do you do? I know you don't even go in that half of your house for like a
Yeah.
month. Like
Mhm.
like, are you happy doing that? I mean, if someone builds that and they're happy doing that, then like go for it. Like,
yeah.
be isolated, have your giant multi-million-dollar home. Like, you did what you needed to do to get there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm clapping for you, I'm celebrating you. But if you're living like that and you're miserable and you're sad and you're
Yeah.
lonely, like, come
Do
connect with
something.
people. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Come.
yeah, I bet
yeah.
you there's some great homeless people that are like would be that person's best friend, but they went through homelessness, so they are not able to ever meet. Probably, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But that collaborative community, remember, Ari, when we were talking about what a great environment that would be to raise children?
Oh
mm,
my gosh.
mhm. Yeah, I was saying like my kids could have like 50 aunts and uncles, and all these different like
Yeah.
people to take care of them and give them examples of human expression.
Mhm. Being themselves and not being afraid to be themselves. Because a lot of times, like people are born into families and the parents like tell them they have to do things a certain way. And then it suppresses their natural expression and it makes it harder to be themselves as they get older. So, yeah, like starting in childhood with that is so important
Yeah.
for expression.
A collaborative community. When my kids were little, we didn't have any help. It was just us. You know, my parents lived far away, her parents lived far away. Man, that was rough, you know. But in a collaborative community, if you need a nap, somebody will watch the toddlers.
Yeah, somebody's available somewhere.
You can take a nap, you know.
Yeah. That's the support system. It's like
Yes.
it's really valuable. Like with people that have bigger families, like it does seem like they have less burden in some ways. They
Yeah,
like all
also-
support each other.
Also to become more social kind of people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mean, I guess it depends on who you are. Maybe some people don't like to socialize as much and they'd rather live in solitude. I'm sure there's some people that are like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for most people, I feel like being around people and having that social aspect and like helping each other and just like giving and taking in balanced ways is just really beneficial in all ways. It's like
Yeah.
a beautiful experience.
And I wonder if that kind of an environment for kids might
mm,
allow us to create the first generation that doesn't have to deal with their trauma wounds.
that is interesting.
Because
That is
boy, oh
interesting.
boy, you look at the spiritual content on YouTube and other psychological content. It's all about your trauma, your past trauma.
Because there's so much of it. Like
There's
there's
so much of it.
so much. So everybody's wounded right now. Like this. That's
We've all, yeah, we've all got it. We've all got those wounds.
yeah.
And so, with that community, with that collaborative environment, might we actually have a generation that doesn't really have that kind of trauma?
It's 555. I thought I'd point that out.
Whoa. And that's usually the energy of change.
I was thinking that too when I looked at it. I was like, ooh,
that was so
powerful.
Wow.
Well, being born is also a little bit of a trauma. Eh? It's
Getting forced out of the womb into the cold world.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
I've heard
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Or a generation where the only trauma is like the natural world, you know,
Mm.
where it's not trauma caused by somebody else. You know what I mean?
Like natural disasters and like stuff like
Yeah.
that just happen,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
occur. Yeah.
I do want to express though that I like where I'm at with my traumas. Like, I think
Mm.
in some ways I might have some symptoms of like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I've never been diagnosed really, and I don't think I'd be comfortable with being diagnosed that way because I kind of like doing my own research and I like being in the driver's seat of my mental and emotional health. But I like that energy of that. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know my body. I know my mind. I know my heart. And I like to think of it as like just like a cut that happened on my arm. And like,
Yeah.
it's there and I can put Neosporin on it. I can put a Band-Aid on it, such as like I could go to a therapy session or I could go to an ecstatic dance. I could go do a meditation. Like there's all these different things that could kind of make it heal faster. And then there's also things that, you know, if you get another cut in the same spot, it can make it worse.
Yeah.
I think it is like that, like the same way that the physical body heals, the emotional body and mental body experience healing kind of the same way. Maybe with some kind of science, we could actually see little slices in the aura or like in the mental body, maybe. But I like focusing less on how to heal and more on like how have I already healed and what has been working and like what can I look forward to, such as all these visions that we have of community and yeah.
Yeah.
For me, meditation helped a lot to alleviate a lot of problems mentally.
Mhm.
Like meditation helped, yeah, to process these things differently in a more constructive
Yeah,
way.
Yeah.
me
Probably
too.
gain good awareness.
Meditation gives me in many ways so much. It's helped me a lot with, you know, that part. I have that part of me that will just want to get out of here. Like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to never experience this ever again. And there are some meditations I've done, like guided meditations, where I'm so immersed in the experience that, like, I feel like I have gotten out of here. Like I'm in a new body. Like I've actually successfully recoded my neural wiring through this meditation and it like
Yeah.
actually has created the change that I've been asking for.
It gives a bit of a bird's perspective, more like and less inside the the problems or the hurt.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think a big part of healing and like really shifting into, more beneficial ways of being is in stuff like that. Like getting out of just ruminating and thinking about like what happened, but more so like observing it and being like, okay, like, what actually feels good to me and like what feels right. Like, do I have to sit in it for this amount of time, or could I do something else that'll help me feel a little bit better right now? So it's kind of like individual feeling out like what's going to benefit you when you're healing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not one way to heal. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's also
Yeah.
getting to know yourself a little bit better, you know.
Yeah, from the awareness, like when the more you like kind of figure out who you are and how you function, how things affect you or have affected you, it gets a lot easier to kind of like reprogram that for yourself, I guess. Yeah.
So we've all had our trauma, and it has catalyzed us to grow and
Hmm.
made us unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
As this conversation is happening, I was also even noticing, like, from what I just said, then my awareness was like, oh my gosh, like, are people now gonna think this and they're gonna think that? And it's
Mm.
hard to talk about it. I feel like our society is designed to prevent us from talking about it. And, to say, I experienced this traumatic thing and now, I don't know, like, this isn't something that I've experienced, but maybe,
Hmm.
you just don't, I don't know, don't ever go outside or something. Like,
Yeah.
it might be
Yeah.
sad you don't know who to talk to about stuff like that. And sometimes therapy can feel so invasive. Like,
Yeah.
are they writing down what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing with my information? And like, it can be hard to
Mm.
find people that you truly like trust and connect with. And that's another reason why I think having a community that is hyper-emotional is also a benefit, because if there are traumas in that future community, there will be a place, a lot of safe people with trusting connections where you can actually say, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
really struggling with this, and you'll be able to be met with like compassion and grace.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Therapy, when I've had it, I've found it to be sort of impersonal,
Mm.
kind of,
Hmm.
you know, this 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 therapist is listening to me in order to get a paycheck, and they're using. I mean, this is not the case with all of them, but
For many. Yeah.
yeah, it seems transactional. And when the session is up, boy,
They're out of
conversation's
there.
over.
Goodbye.
Yep, yep,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know like energy healers will stay in contact telepathically with their people that they're working with, and actually send energy and do that like energy work in the other realms too with their
Mhm.
clients. Like, I think that's amazing. That's
That
something
is
that
amazing.
maybe we're not getting with some of our therapists in the world.
Yeah. Have you guys have heard of BetterHelp, right? Like that online thing.
Heard
So
of it?
I have used that, and it was like it was interesting because I'm sure for some people like maybe they do find a good therapist, but I found a lot of the time it was like those therapists who just kind of wanted the paycheck, and it was like really I felt so uncomfortable like with these people because I was just like, oh, the environment wasn't right. And then I finally found like a therapist in person who also kind of had like a higher perspective about spirituality and stuff like that. I felt more comfortable with that because it felt like she was actually invested in my healing and not just kind of there to be there, you know? Because it's like you go
Yes.
into therapy wanting to heal, you want to benefit from it, but sometimes like you're not really getting the full benefit. The people are invested in your healing, which they should be, like ideally, but you know. So I would like to see more therapists like that like really want to be present with you, and probably with the energy work, like many of them equipped with being able to do stuff like that, like Reiki or whatever, and just like really taking the time like when they're with the client and like helping them through it and like really being there for them, because that's what's really healing, is like that genuine connection, like feeling like someone's actually there to try to help you. They're not just there for money, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The genuine connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Like in community.
most of the time you have to do the work yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very personal
Yeah. And
path.
like that's like, I mean, everybody has to do their own like inner work and everything, but I do feel like part of it, like sometimes you really do just need support from other people. And you really do need like that validation outside of yourself. And like, I'm not saying like you should look for validation outside of yourself, but sometimes it really does help you to feel more like humanized. Like people do feel this way. Like people experience this stuff too. It isn't just me. Like I'm not, I'm not crazy, or I don't, I'm just on this stuff happened and this is what like kind of happened because of that, and I can get out of that. It just, I feel like like it provides the compassion. It provides that like genuine connection that helps to heal. And I don't know. I think it's a beautiful thing when it's done that way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say some of the best therapy I've had is from friends. And there are certain friends that I have that have therapeutic personalities.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you guys have therapeutic personalities.
I'm studying that, so
Are you?
I'm studying psychology. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
A psychologist, but I don't know. That might change. Maybe I'll be one of those therapists that does the energy stuff too, because I've been looking into that. So I don't know.
Nice.
That would be cool.
That's where I'm at with working with others. Like, I have my undergrad in psychology, and every time I considered going to get my master's degree, like a person in my outer world like advised me not to. Like the first time it was Wayne Dyer in a podcast, and he said something about like the master's program for psychology and how they're not aligned with, I don't remember what exactly he said because it was like probably 5 years ago. But I really respect Wayne Dyer as like an author and a spiritual person. So I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna go on that path. And I just started working with people. I didn't really know what to call myself because I didn't like calling myself a life coach. And then the first thing I ever called myself was an alignment guide, because I was like, I'll just guide people into their natural alignment. Yeah, but I like being able to do things on my own terms and like have sessions with people and be able to just be honest and be myself and see what comes from that space. To have that like energy that's not transactional, whatever the opposite is of that, like someone that actually really cares.
That like actually wants to help people, is there for the purpose of the job that they wanted to do. Because a lot of times like people go into these, I guess, industries, like institutions, because in a way like the psychology world does have like an institution too, kind of like they have the APA, like certain ways that you need to do things or that they tell you should do things. And like I feel in a way it's good, but it's also, and because it's an institution, which means like certain people decided that that's the way they wanted to do it. It doesn't mean it's the right way in all ways, in all situations. Just because an organization is like well respected or well known doesn't mean that everything they do is right or the best way. So I think that's important to remember when you're going into any industry or institution.
Yeah, and it's weird to like see the way that things are done and see the way that other people are conducting things, and then to stay true to like yourself. Like that was always something that I used my energy for. And I remember this experience I had with working in a gym, being a personal trainer, where the client that came to me had this thing with his ankle, and I had no idea like how to make his ankle feel better. He was like an older gentleman, and I like honestly didn't know what to do to help him. And he was like, I want you to be my trainer. And I was like, I literally don't know how to help you. And he was like, that's why I want you to be my trainer, because everyone else says that they know exactly what to do. And I don't trust them. I don't believe that they know exactly what to do. He's like, I think they just want money. And I feel like you would be helpful. And I was literally like, oh my gosh, like it was such an interesting thing to happen. So, and that was me just having to be the best that I could possibly be and, you know, set my intentions. I think believing in the law of attraction is super helpful. I could always just say like, my clients are experiencing great growth and everyone's getting stronger and this and that. And
that's powerful to have that intention in the things that you do. And I think I almost wonder, like, he probably had other trainers and they just didn't feel right, like energetically. He was like, they're not being authentic. But then he met you and he was like, but she is. Here we go. You know?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so special.
Yeah.
good
It was
connection
so
with somebody
funny
is also
to
very important. When it hits off, that's also something, you know, to have the right kind of exchange.
Yeah.
uh,
A
Yeah.
beneficial, healthy, happy exchange, you know?
right. Like I'm still having that memory come back of him being like, I want to work with you because you don't know what to do. And I'm like, what?
Normally
So
that would be backwards, but in that case,
It was
it made sense. It made sense. And that's another thing I'm realizing. Sometimes things that are right or feel right, sometimes they really don't make any sense, like physically. And I think that's like part of it. Like we doubt certain things sometimes because we're like, there's no physical evidence of that right now. But then later down the line, you're like, oh, that's why. Okay. I couldn't physically see it, but it was there. It was there. And that's valid too. You feel it, it's there.
Yes.
That's why I love honesty. Honesty opens doorways for reality to be different because you have to, in order to be honest, you have to know what you truly think. You have to know what you truly feel. And when you know what you truly think and you know what you truly feel, you are truly unique because you're the only one feeling and thinking
Yeah.
you're feeling. But if, you know, I studied a book on personal training sales and the book said, you know, claim yourself as the expert, and I was thinking that way, then I would be right, like you said, out of alignment with like the authenticity piece. And you know, I think I could have very easily been like, yes, I'm the expert, I'm the trainer, and I know what to do, and we're gonna do these. But I had never seen anyone with any sort of problem like the problem he described. I was like, I don't know what to do, and I'm gonna be honest. And that's how I got the client. This is crazy.
There you go.
The honesty also brings a lot more relaxation into the thing, you know.
Yeah. Because you don't feel like there's deception, because a lot of times people do deceive others like for their own gain, and it's like, but you're in a role where you're supposed to be helping people, but you're like taking advantage of them. It's just really uncomfortable, you know? And not necessary. There's like I think so we were having construction done in our house. My family's house actually like burned down kind of, and they had to have it rebuilt. So that was like a few years ago, and it's just now kind of rebuilt, and now like we're back in it. But the people that rebuilt it, they got all this insurance money for it, and then they kind of slapped it together, and now there's a lot of issues. But like either way, they were going to get money. They did it so that they could get more money, like in the long run, but just kind of like, you know, spending less money on certain materials or just like not fully doing things. And that to me was very disgusting, because I'm like, you can do your job properly and still make money. Maybe not as much, but like then you wouldn't have to come back and try to fix everything because you decided to be greedy. You know, it's like really, it's just very strange to me. I just remember like thinking about this. I'm like, that you could honestly make a home for someone and genuinely make it the way you're supposed to and still get your exchange of money. The money is not more important than someone having a safe, like properly working home to live in. You know, that to me was like, I didn't understand.
So money is traveling all over the place, coming from all different sources.
Yeah.
Like if I were that person building, I feel like I would know that I want to do the fullest that I can do, like you said.
Yeah.
And trust that even if it does put me in a situation where I don't have a lot of money, like the community, the energy would see that I am doing the best that I can possibly do, and it would come through like
it would come anyway. It would come
anyway.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Belief in abundance.
Yeah.
If you really believe in abundance, the money will be there, and you have higher motivation to do a good job and to get the right materials. And
Exactly. You know, like to really, because that's the thing, like, especially when you're building a home, like you're building a place where someone's going to live, you know? Shouldn't that be like proper and like put together the correct way and like be up to code, like everything, you know? You want those people to live in the home and like to enjoy it, not like have to look over there and be like, oh, there's a problem because they
yeah,
didn't do it right, because they didn't care enough, you know?
so that's your motivation to do a good job, because
Yeah.
because the abundance is assured. So
Right.
Mhm.
let's just do a good job because that's the right thing to do and
Exactly.
it
It will
feels
make
right.
them feel better. Like I think they would feel the feelings that you guys are feeling when you live in the house. They're connected to it. They're gonna feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, they created that. Like without them like physically doing that, there wouldn't be a place to for those people to live, for us to live. So, you know, it's the exchange of energy. Even like material, like building a house, that's an energetic exchange in a way. You're providing a place for someone that they live in. So, I don't know, I just yeah, the abundance. But I think I understand it from another point of view too, is that a lot of people like they really don't think that they have the abundance in them. So then they feel like they need to do these things to get ahead. That's kind of like how society portrays it. That you
Mhm.
have to deceive people, you have to compete with people so that you can have like more money, when really like you don't. But I get it, people aren't, a lot of people aren't aware of that. So I try to be like compassionate in that way, but then I'm also like, but you could have built it like properly. I don't know. Like it's just like this weird like in my head where I want to be compassionate for the people that are thinking that way. But then I'm also like, but why are you thinking that way? I don't like that.
Well,
Please.
we try to raise the vibration of this
Mm-mm.
planet, and maybe it'll be more likely that people will do a good job.
Yeah. And maybe like I love the way you're using your voice and I love what you're sharing here with the situation. So maybe that's a gift as well, like you being able to express what you're experiencing, and it can be a pathway for more people to jump out of this old way of thinking that these builders were in. And
Yeah.
because it does seem kind of universal, like I think all of us are relating to that way of thinking. Like it's definitely present in the human species to, I don't know, to think that there are conditions to having shelter and food. It can
Yeah.
be a struggle. Like it's really nice to think, oh my gosh, there's an unconditional awareness, aware of every action and every thought and every feeling, and it's within us all and it's guiding us all. We can all have the abundance that we deserve through being who we truly are.
Yeah. We're taking care of each other too. Like I think that's really important, you know?
Yeah, we take care of each other, and then no one of us has to be afraid that we'll be left flapping in the breeze.
Mm-hmm. And I think some people want things like now. And it's like, I believe that some of the greatest artists, creators, scientists, like ideas, like are living inside of like the people that are, you know, stuck in the grind and they're stuck going to work just being a cashier. But like, if they had, I don't know, like I'd like to see everybody have the ability to fully tap into their genius and their potential in this lifetime, so
Yeah.
that we can all experience like everybody's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all have something to offer. That's like the one thing that I will never forget. Everyone is unique and has something to offer. I don't care what it is. It's something. There's something there.
Yeah.
And if your material needs are met, you are free to express.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think what's nice too is like when you bring yourself to that place of abundance, then it also equips you with the ability to kind of cultivate that for others, like give them more access to things and more opportunities so that they can do that themselves over time. Like some people who live like in places where there's like poverty and other like difficult situations, when you have like material wealth or you have something to give, you could make a difference by putting money into those places so that they have the opportunity to kind of grow in a positive way instead of being stuck in that kind of situation. I do believe a lot like people have the ability to get themselves out of situations, but some are really difficult. And you can't blame someone for not getting out of a situation always. It's really difficult to be a human being. But I feel like if we kind of put more value into sharing what we have and like really investing in helping each other in those ways, a lot more people could tap into that potential. They would have the place where finally be at a place where they're stable and then they can actually think about doing the things they want to do instead of just trying to survive every day, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. When there is material abundance and somebody needs some help and you share, at first there's a little bit of fear, like, oh boy, here goes a chunk of change. But in my experience, what happens is that the abundance reappears
Mhm.
oftentimes more than what you gave away.
Yes, you get more back when you give things. You get more back.
The universe seems to give you more when you give.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're getting
Back what you're putting out. That's like how it works.
Yeah.
But I really think that's beautiful, you know? Like
Well, the
wow.
Beatles sung about it already, so
I also was believing all the answers for my unique life journey are inside me. And all the answers for your unique life journey are inside of you. Like, that's a beautiful truth that Michael has inside of himself. And it continues to show up because he's in tune with his intuition. And, like, I think that is really powerful.
Yeah, it seems to take courage to give, and I mean meaningfully give.
Without thinking about like what you're getting back or if you're getting something
Yes,
back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you may not necessarily get something back directly,
Mm-hmm.
but the universe is always giving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an example of surrender.
yeah, but also like mining your own potential. Like in a mine, you mine your own potential out of yourself.
Hmm.
See what's the best way to give to the world or to give to your environment.
Yeah. I like that. Mining yourself, your potential.
Well,
Find like a gem
What
in
other
there.
energies do we care about, like in alignment with caring about money? Like what other results can we receive? What other experiences are there other than like a full bank account? Like there's so many other things to focus.
Oh, so many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
money is just a part of it. It's just a currency, you know?
Yeah.
It's not everything. It's just a way for us to get stuff, you know?
yeah, I was resonating a bit with a video from Pure where
Mm.
she said that she hardly buys anything, and then I thought about myself. Yeah, the past years I also hardly buy anything, so I don't know. It's a kind of a phase, maybe.
Mm.
The best thing is like you're not spending money just to spend it, but you spend it on things that like actually bring you joy. And like in
Yeah.
the moment, you're like, I want to buy that. And you're like, well, maybe that's too much, but you're like, but it'll make me happy right now. Not like I'm gonna buy this giant car because it'll make me happy because it's a giant, awesome car. Like if that's what you're into, I get it. But like I'm just saying, like you're just walking down the street and like you see something and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that feels nice. And then you just want to get it and it feels right. I think that's really cool when you spend money like that. Or on experiences, like you go to eat somewhere for the first time because you want to try food, or like, you know what I mean? Just like feeling the vibe of how to use your money instead of just like spending it to spend it.
I've had
That's
that
really
shift
cool.
too, where like I truly love all my physical belongings. And I mean, I did make that choice consciously, where I was like, I want to love everything I'm surrounded by. And I think my um my experience with physical objects has slowed down, where I want to know the story. Like, what was the drawing? Was there a drawing where people drew this before? Like, was there a team of people that worked together? Like, how did this object come to be? Like, I find myself caring about that a lot too.
The history.
And yeah, usually, I mean, every single time pretty much in my past where I've been like, oh my gosh, I need this thing, I'm gonna buy this thing, I have to have this thing, I usually don't like that thing later after
Yeah.
I have it.
And like, and when you're doing it too, you feel so stressed. And it's like, for what? Like, why am I doing this to myself? Oh my gosh.
We were talking about houses earlier. That's another thing. People like want the amazing, really beautiful, large house, but then it's so much to take care of that you're so stressed.
Yeah,
You're stressed about the
exactly.
cleaning and the upkeep and everything. And
The bills.
yeah, like
Yeah, the bills.
it's
Real.
so important to be mindful of what you're bringing into your life, like physically, because we do have so much control of that. We have so much
Mhm.
freedom with when it comes to like our physical belongings. So it should be stuff that brings us into the energetic state that we most enjoy. Why would it not be?
Yeah. So like picking and choosing just what feels right instead
Yeah.
of what you think would feel good or feel right.
I
'Cause
think
oftentimes it's wrong.
for a house, what I desire is coziness.
Yes. Coziness.
Mm.
Hmm. A
Need
home
lots of color.
can be whatever you want it to be. That's the cool thing about a home. You really can decorate it like however you want and put anything in it that you want that like uniquely expresses you. Like it's really cool walking into different people's homes and like seeing what they have on the walls and like, you know, what they're into versus another person. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there are people that I'm thinking of right now that like I know their house and I know it's just a magazine. Like they just
Yeah.
were inspired by the trend and wanted to have
Yeah.
something that really looked like nice to a lot of people when they walk in. And you know, I'd love to see what kind of house those people would live in if it was like their true soul picking out the couch and picking out the painting and everything.
Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah, a lot of people they get like the I think right now like the trending is like these really like clean, white, sleek looking houses is like the something people really are into. And I mean if you are, that's fine. Like if it really makes you happy, then that's good. But if it doesn't make you happy, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to
Are you
yourself.
into it because you're into it, or are you into it because 1,000 people are into it and you want to be
The one
the
that has the
one?
cool house. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to just be like connected with I think commercialized products and brands are taking advantage of the human desire for connection.
Oh, for sure. 100%. They like make it look like this is the best thing to have, like this is the cool thing on the market right now, so then you want to get it so you connect with people. They do. They make you spend money so that you can feel like a sense of connection, but
Yeah.
that's not necessary.
Yeah. Spend money so people will love me.
Exactly. But that's not real love. Like, come on now. A thing will never make someone love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have the freedom to change it because we're the people that live in the world.
Yeah,
We're the people on Earth. So
here we are.
we get to change it.
Isn't that so cool though? Like we chose to be here and that we can actually have an impact on how the world is.
Yeah.
Like we can actively go outside and like do something to impact the world.
Yeah, we shouldn't underestimate our own impact. I think.
Yeah. I think what is it like people say like they're like one person can't make like such a big change in the world, but it's not true. Like if everybody like just started believing that they could make even like a small change, collectively we'd be able to make a lot of big changes as you know, on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like believing that you have the power to do that and then actively like trying to do that. Yeah. Everybody can do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we come together.
Yes.
Mhm.
In spaces like this.
Yes.
And it's that space of surrender. Like you don't know while you're talking or whatever choice you're making, like you don't know which choice is going to stick with someone else, but like a choice that you made could be the moment that 5 different people play that moment in their head over and over again. Like
Yeah.
they could play your words that you said in their head over and over again. That could be the word that convinces them to get more physically active. That could be the word that convinces them to go be a fashion designer. And so, like what we just talked about, someone could be watching this right now that is a fashion designer and they were like, oh my gosh, wow, I should be more aware of how I sell my clothes. And I want to make sure that people buy them because they truly love them, not just because they're cool or because they're trying to impress a man. Like
Yeah.
this conversation right now, like changes everything we do, changes things. You're changing the moment and it can ripple.
Yeah. Especially on YouTube where so many people have access to like what other people are saying. And in some ways that can be, I mean, I think it's just good overall. Sometimes there's like content that's not the best. But like when you're genuinely like talking about stuff like we are right now, there are times like you just say one thing and it completely changes the way someone thinks about something. I've had a lot of those moments where I'm just on YouTube and I just come across like this obscure video like out of nowhere and then they just tell me something and it like completely blows my mind. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I totally didn't think about it that way. And then it benefits me and like my perspective and helps me come to a different awareness that I didn't necessarily have before. So I think it's very important that we share and we be ourselves because we really don't know like how that'll impact someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube is a very spiritual thing.
Very
It's-
magical.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ironic because I imagine it's a big corporation and, but yet
Everything serves its purpose.
the spiritual realm is making use of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad I started commenting a while back because I didn't do it for years. I was just on YouTube listening to music. But then I thought maybe I send a comment, maybe I do a like, maybe I subscribe. So now here I am.
That's so cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, just one little like choice and then it brings you to this other point in time and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All you did was like a video and now you're making one.
Exactly. That's crazy.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was one of the videos I saw from Ari when you were sitting under a tree and you said, now I'm sitting here and we're having contact via YouTube. And I didn't know you then. So yeah, but you were right.
Oh, so technically we met under a tree.
Well,
That's a good meeting spot.
Under a tree.
I love meeting people under trees.
yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, I remember a video of Ari standing by a waterfall in Montana.
Hey.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Although I think the first video I saw of Ari was you were you were lying on the ground and you were singing.
That's so in
Felt
character
like
too.
me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea which video that is though.
Right. Well, I think you were in Washington at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And then I looked back at some of your videos, and those were in a B&B in Ohio.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like at one point, I really did give up everything to do what I truly wanted to do, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
look where you
worth
are
it.
now.
Oh, look where you are now. That's
Yeah.
so. Sometimes I'm in awe though. Like you really sometimes like just one like big choice leads to like all of these different events, and then you're at this point where you look back and you're like, wow, like what if I didn't do that? Where would I be? But I made that choice and here I am now doing this. Um
Yeah. And I do like to think about energetically who and what I'll be when I exit my body. And like I know that I'm not gonna have anything that's here, you know, but I do believe that I will have my energy and I'll have my state of being. So like what kind of state am I gonna be in? And that helps me be more mindful about my choices. It helps me be in a higher vibration because I want to be in that high vibration when I go. Like I want to be able to connect with consciousness and say, I had the greatest time on earth, and these are all the things I did, and these are all the people I met. And like, I don't know for sure what happens when human life ends, but it is motivating for me, anyways. I know everybody's different, but it motivates me to stay in good energy and continue having experiences that I truly love because
yeah.
that seems like the plan.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of
maybe.
the
No,
one of the movies that came on YouTube last night for me was about this these guys that use this device and they were using string theory to try to basically do seances and contact people they had lost. And I have a more optimistic view of what happens when we die than what's in that movie.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what happens. Like there probably
Right.
are like, you know, spirits running around like ghosts or something somewhere like but I don't know. Like I don't know how people would become ghosts if that's a thing. Or
Yeah.
like, you know, because I do wonder about that. Like if we leave our bodies and we're a soul, realistically, like I think about it like we go somewhere else or we go back to source. Like that's how I think about it in my mind. But maybe there are some people that like linger in certain places, but only in spirit form. I don't know. Like I don't know. Interesting.
I have stuff to say.
All right.
Then say.
So, I have had all these really interesting experiences, and I was talking to someone about them, and this person was like, you should join a psychic group on Facebook. And she told me that on Facebook, there are all different types of groups of people exploring psychic gifts and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, I never talk to people that also like have these really cool psychic experiences. So I joined this group and it was so good. It was so good. There was an option to go live in the group, and they said anybody that wants to work on their psychic gifts, you can go live. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I had no fear because I just feel like it's gonna be a bunch of loving, cool people. And it was a bunch of loving, cool people and people asking for readings. And I had multiple experiences of being able to see and hear people that like are not on the earth anymore. They just like come into my awareness and they talk to me and I see them, and like it's so hard. Like for me, it was hard to trust because I'm just seeing it in my mind and hearing it, but there is this, I'm feeling called to tell this one specific story from a girl that her dad passed away, and all I did was just repeat exactly what I was hearing and talk about what I was seeing. And like, I channeled his exact personality. And there were specific things like he told me like, rock on, baby girl. And like, I said that. And she was like, that's what he freaking says to me. Like he said, and it's not, I'm not playing like a game to try
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Like, I'm not, it's free for me to like explore my psychic gifts. Like I'm not getting money for this. Like I'm literally just in the group, an honest person that's like, I think I could be a medium. I want to see if I really am. And like I guess I am, like for some people, for the people that, the thing is though, I think that's what can be harmful about claiming yourself. Like what comes up when I say like I am a medium is like, I think I was a medium for that girl where I channeled like the presence of her dad, and like I can be a medium for certain people, but like I'm not being a medium right now for you guys. Like I'm channeling the story and I'm remembering the presence of this spirit, but I think that's what could be the disconnect. Like I would never be the type of person to say this is what I am and like say it for all people, because all people are going to have different interactions with me that like lead to different things. And I know that there is so much corruption in the world of being a psychic. Like Michael has experienced it personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although, Ari, I've experienced you as a medium for certain. I mean, you, my spirit guides seem to be quite comfortable
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
communicating with you.
Yeah. So I just let it be. I just try to be as aware as I possibly can of like the inner world that I am present with, and just, if people come in and wanna, I mean, I was present to a group of energy before I decided to talk about the Facebook group. There was this group of energy that was like, yes, tell that story. Yes, talk about it. Like, I do experience that like other side energy. So
That's
pretty cool.
interesting.
Yeah, but it was very validating to hear from different people. There were so many cool experiences. Like there was one experience where there was a woman that came into my energy that was talking about this bathtub. So I started talking about the bathtub, and then the woman that I was reading for, she was like, I'm sitting in my bathtub right now.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, and then that's how the reading started. So sometimes it starts like that, where it's like, I feel like energies are trying to give little details of like, I know you're looking at a turtle right now. And then the person I'm reading for is like, yeah, I am looking at a turtle. And then they're like, okay, like, so it's cool.
I wonder, like they say that on purpose to like give the person confirmation so that they know they're there. Like that's
Yeah.
really special. Like to, I imagine, to feel that.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
have
and
this
it gives me
person-
confirmation too. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes there have been so many things that come through that I just feel silly. Like I'm just like, please don't make me look stupid. I'm just gonna say this random thing. But then the people are like,
It works out. It works out.
So,
Yeah. That's so cool though.
yeah. And apparently it's a big need. Like when I'm not in that group anymore, but when I was there, there were people that were like demanding a reading that needed to connect with their loved one. Like, so hopefully I can be, in front of and connected with the right people to bring people peace and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
In that way though, sometimes that can probably be difficult, like having the ability to give someone a reading, but it like kind of it's not good for you to do it because they're being demanding or they have like a weird energy with it. I assume that's difficult to deal with. You
Yeah.
want to help them, but then it's like, but it's not good for you to do that in that moment, having the boundary there, maybe.
Yeah. Especially since I'm someone that I've gone through putting all of my power in other people and thinking they can come and save me and help me.
Yeah.
So it is painful to see that and be like, oh no, like,
Yeah.
I
See
want to
that in
tell this
someone
person
else.
that they're powerful. I think everybody is a medium. I think
so too. I thought that too.
pass on loved ones on their own. They don't need a guide for it, but it can be like a meaningful experience for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think after we die, maybe it is a fantastic experience. I don't know. Maybe
Mm.
we get much more opportunities to do a lot of more things, or I don't know. Maybe could be.
I wonder if it's similar to birth, where it's like, yes, we're all being
Ooh.
born into the world, but we all have our own unique experience with it. It's like maybe death is like that too. Like, there are babies that are born in a home birth and there's a whole, cool experience happening. Maybe death is like that too, or like maybe there's different places that your consciousness can travel to and different experiences. Probably not dependent on some judgmental man though.
Right.
I never understood that. I was like, there is not a man in the sky telling me you gotta be this way or you can't come up here with me. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't feel that like strict or like specific because it's like I feel that love and I feel like whatever energy source we come from would never be like you have to do this or I want to me, like that doesn't make any sense to me, at least. Wow.
Yeah, as far as spiritual messages and spiritual advice, and it seems like love-based
Yeah.
advice is what you listen to. And if you get a sense of fear from what somebody is telling you,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not a great message.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, in some ways, like maybe the fear is good if it's helping you realize things about yourself. Like, because I know sometimes like people talk about things. This was like before I kind of was like, yeah, love is like this was when I was like in a very fear-based kind of mentality. I remember like hearing people talk about things that like felt true, but my ego was kind of scared of that. I was like, ugh, no, that's not true. I don't want to, it was like this weird feeling. But I feel like that fear, like in that moment, did help me to kind of recognize, like, maybe there's more to this. Like, maybe there's a reason I'm afraid of this. In that way, I feel like it could be helpful.
Hmm.
But yes, I do agree. Like, if someone's saying something and it just feels like off and it feels like you feel like you're dying when you're listening to it. Because I've had that experience where someone says something spiritual, I'm like, no, this isn't true. This is too like restrictive. This doesn't make sense to me. And then I'm like, but I can just let that go. Like I don't have to believe that if I don't want to, if it's distressing
Right.
me this much. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
oh, I better do what they tell me or I'm going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, like if I don't do this specific thing, I'm going to hell, whatever hell is.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
I think Ari also said that she doesn't really like to be in a paranoid kind of way, you know.
Mm.
I try not to be too paranoid with things, you know, like I try to recognize it and say, but that's just paranoia. That's just you being thinking, yeah, overthinking things.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like putting, I guess it's like putting a condition on something that things have to be a certain way when like the flow of like the universe is not really like that. It's the unconditional flow. It's not like things have to be a certain way. So maybe that's why we experience the fears from that, like, ooh, there has to be a condition there. That's what creates that.
Yeah, I'm feeling like my story of going to that house on Thanksgiving that we talked about in last tea time, that's a good
Yeah.
example because it was like this potential that I could experience of giving the poem to that group of people I'd never met before. And I didn't feel completely loving the whole process of creating that experience for myself. Like, I was afraid when I was walking towards the house, but I do remember that when I was walking towards the house, I know that the fear was in my headspace. And it was
Mhm.
these thoughts of like, I can't knock on their doorbell. I don't know them. Like, I don't know these people. I can't go. But then when I would tune into my body, pure peace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on, for me, anyways, knowing where the fear is in my body helps me move through it. A lot of times, if the fear is like in my gut area, usually that's like, I need to stop doing what I'm doing. Like, this is probably
Yeah,
a no. Like, I gotta reevaluate things.
the gut
But
feeling.
yeah, a lot of times if it's like in my head and it comes with a lot of thoughts, like I'm just like, I gotta bypass this, or I really do need to go in that direction because on the other side is probably something that breaks some kind of program. And there's all these little critters running around like, no, don't change our pathway. We want to keep being afraid of strangers. No. And I'm like, no, I'm about to go read a poem and everyone's gonna love it and be happy. And I'm probably gonna be even more social and things are gonna change. So
And that's what happened, right? Like
that's what happened.
you bypassed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched this video about fear, and she said a really good way of moving through fear is like training yourself. You like expose yourself to the fear and you show yourself that it's like nothing to be afraid of. And I can like reflect
Mm.
and find times in my life where like, I thought things were going to be really bad, and then like I just kept going and like things were really good, and I was like, oh, like
yeah,
I am
Yeah.
totally wrong about what I thought.
sometimes I just think it's the fear is just you, and you just have to have more trust in the experience and in the environment, and it's just you being a bit shaky, but it'll pass. It's just an energy that.
Yeah. It's a normal energy that everyone feels, fear. Um, I think it's interesting, like a lot of times like we create our own fear. Like we really do. Like there's like nothing outside of us, like in that moment or anything going on really that's like threatening to us. And yet we find ways to, because I've noticed that when I'm doing that, and then when I disconnect from the fear, I'm like, wait, my life is great right now in this moment. the only thing like causing me to stress was me like creating the fear in my head right now. Like I don't need to do that. There's no reason to do that right now.
Like
Yeah.
imagination going wild.
Yeah, it's like becoming aware of the fear and like kind of because sometimes like you catastrophize, yeah, like catastrophize like fear, and then you go to it and you're like, wait a minute, but like is this like necessary right now? Like like I don't think it has to be. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
going on. So
Like,
maybe I can let it
what
go.
if guy?
Yeah.
What if guy?
The
Yeah.
what the what that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of fear that comes with the big change I'm making. Dropping the 9 to 5.
Hmm. I think that can be really scary at first, especially if
Yeah.
you've like always been in that. It's like
Always.
very, very conditioned. So you're like,
Yeah.
this is a big change, but you know, it's gonna be a really good change. I'm sure it already is, you
Oh
know.
yeah, it
Moving
already
into
is.
it feels great. You're like, yes, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I made this choice for myself. Look at me, you know, like it's like something to be proud of when you make a choice like that for yourself and you're starting to feel like that positive shift.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very deliberate stirring of the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. It's all good.
It really is. Yeah.
Making an opening for the spirit guides to do their job,
Mhm.
do their
Time for your
thing.
next adventure.
Yeah.
I found this African proverb that goes with what we were saying. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
Lune's story was so perfect with that. Like, I feel like you brought your energy back inside and you were like, why am I creating this fear for myself? And you just decided, I'm going to be at peace because everything actually is amazing. Like, a lot of times we can be an enemy to ourselves, and that is sad.
There's also an African saying that goes like, when you get lost, you're finding the way or something. You're starting to find the way when you get lost.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like
Also heard, I'm not lost, I'm just exploring.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess when you're like lost, sometimes it does kind of create like the opportunity for a lot of change. Because you're like, ooh, I don't know what the heck's going on right now. And then you just kind of ease into that energy and then you end up finding things that you're like, oh, this is cool. Like if I had never gotten lost, I would have never found this, you know? I don't know.
Exactly.
I was feeling kind of lost before I found that psychic group on Facebook. I was literally talking to the person about how I can't relate to anybody around me and I want to have more like aligned connections. And she was like, that was her idea. So it is that theory that like the contrast is somewhat necessary. Like if you have an experience that you aren't enjoying, the key to what you actually do enjoy is like in that experience. Like
Yeah.
if you know you don't
believe
like hot
that.
water, you just try cold water.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like there's like I've heard people talk about like how inaction is like the worst thing. Like if you try to do things even if it doesn't make sense or you're not sure if it's the right path, it doesn't matter because you're still exploring things and like if you do something that like isn't right, then you'll know, okay, I tried that and that wasn't for me, but maybe this is. So it's like just opening yourself up to experiences and not being as afraid of them because you know it's okay to kind of explore and like try things that maybe you don't like. I don't know, it's interesting.
Being
Oh,
willing
yeah.
to have an experience that's like truly amazing, that's different than everything that you've ever experienced in your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you seen this movie with Jim Carrey in it called the Yes Man
Yes,
I
I saw that.
about
You-
trying new things?
I have not seen it, but I'm sure
Yeah,
it's very
that's-
good.
That's
I liked
worth
it. Yeah.
that's worth looking at. Yeah.
Huh.
And another thing I was gonna say too is that the brain, I've heard that the nature of the brain is to be right. So in some cases, it could be possible that the brain is actually skewing memories and skewing the present moment even to be equal to what the brain knows to be true. So I
Mm.
believe it to be imperative to be aware of the story that the inner consciousness is revealing to the observer, because that observer is just taking it all in, and you can actually grab the pen and rewrite a different story. And like, yeah, it could just simply be like a lot of the problems in the world might just be a story that is being told, that like the thing never
Yeah.
even happened, like the thing that the people are upset about never even actually happened, but their
They
own
just keep
minds
creating
like
it.
think it did, and they're stuck believing that, and that can be hard.
Yeah. Something I've noticed is like when people are on social media, especially, like they make videos where like they say like this is how it is, or this kind of person does this, and it's like a kind of video, and sometimes they're humorous. But then I think about it, like the more people watch that, the more they probably start to believe that that's the actual truth, because that's what their brain is like, yeah, that's the story, so maybe I'll
Oh,
believe
yeah.
that, you know? That is so interesting. I'm like, that's why these people think this way, because they're seeing content like this.
Sometimes it's
Right.
also all hyped up, with the hype that exists, and then everybody starts thinking that way and seeing it
Mm-hmm.
that way, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that in politics, obviously, but
Oh, yes.
also in the gender type content, like
Mhm.
women, they're all like this.
Yeah,
or-
like what?
yeah,
Come
or
on now. Like,
men. Yeah.
I was gonna
Mhm.
circle back to that too, and like that dating is an area that like I think that a lot of people might possibly be afraid of dating, so it can be easy for certain people to hold the narrative of it, because if you hear about these like bad dating things, or if you're a woman that hears about all these men being like this and that, then you're like, oh, I don't want to date any of them, I'm just gonna not. And then
yeah. I almost wonder,
Yes.
like, do you create that experience for yourself? Like, do you attract that type of situation because that's what you believe is like
probably.
the
And
typical
you're listening
situations?
to it, and then it's in your energy field, and
Yeah. And then maybe you
you're a
attract
magnet
it.
for it.
Oh, that's crazy. But it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. I still remember being, I think I was 24, and I was making a video. This video isn't on my YouTube anymore, but I was making this video, and I like caught the epiphany on camera where I was like, wait, the person I'm dating right now is an individual, and his qualities are not universal. Like, I can't have him like have an experience where he cooks dinner for me and then be like, oh, men are excellent cooks. That's so illogical. Like, the one person that I see in front of me is an excellent cook. Like, it's so dumb to like have one person do one thing and then you're like, and
Exactly.
even if there's 40 men that are excellent cooks, you cannot just say, oh, men are excellent cooks because 40 men were like, it's just a group, and you're just putting a label on them all and then convincing everybody an idea that's not true.
That is how it works. Like, especially with the media, I was just talking about, like, people say things like you're this way, like this is how these type of people act, or this is a specific type of person that you might be. And it's like, why also with the aesthetics, have you seen like people are like, what's your aesthetic? And like you have to pick an aesthetic. And I'm like, but why can't we just have like all the aesthetics like whenever we want? You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, it's so weird. It's like there has to be like a categorized, I mean, I know the brain does that. The brain categorizes things so things make sense. But if we can be aware, like consciously aware of like what's not actually true and what we're like creating for ourselves in a negative way, that would help a lot of people. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Being delusional.
Mm,
Yeah, there's a whole mathematical theory about putting things in categories. It's called category theory.
crazy. What a
Yes,
name.
And then there's class theory, set theory. But part of that is that a lot of classes and categories and sets are what are called ill-defined.
Hmm.
And it just doesn't add up, and it's not logical, even if it
Huh.
seems.
Yeah, you had a video about delusional mind, but I didn't see it yet. So
Oh,
I'll
that
Yeah.
video is about how if we talked about in general public what we talk about here, people would think we're delusional.
Mm.
You know, like if I
Yeah.
went to work and told my boss about my spirit guides, you know,
Yeah.
how, yeah, I'm leaving this job because my spirit guides told me to.
Yeah, they think you're crazy. They'd be
Yeah.
like, he's nuts, but
Really? How long have you been
they don't
hearing?
know.
How long have you been hearing voices?
But I bet you, Michael, if you like experience something like that people think is amazing, like you leave your job, your spirit guides told you to, now you are like a multi-million-dollar business owner, like you have a whole like hero story, then
Right.
people respect that. Then they're like, oh, what are these spirit guides? It can help me have $1 million. Tell me, please. Like,
Right.
I want to know the secret.
yeah, so I think it all depends on like
The
time,
context.
the
Yeah.
context. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's what can be hard. Like, it's like you could trust your intuition and have like a not so great experience, but it's all about how you view it, because that could just be part of the journey. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be so like cause and effect. Like, I did this and then this happened. Like,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
it's all kind of,
It hardly works like that, you know. Like I'm
yeah.
gonna really get this result, and then probably it will be something a little bit different, or
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
that's like why you don't want to, I guess, like put too much focus on like a specific outcome. We've already talked about this, but it's
Yeah.
like anything can happen in your life. And part of the problem is like thinking that things have to be a certain way when that creates the resistance where you can't actually truly get what you want because you keep thinking it needs to be this way in this amount of time in this specific like place or thing. Like, I don't know, having the
Yeah.
expectation that's unhealthy where it's like immovable, it has to be that way, that actually just makes it harder to, that's like why you have to surrender so that you can go with the flow of the journey to get to the outcomes that are meant for you, which will be positive. It's just you have to kind of trust it and just let yourself go there instead of saying that it has to be this way.
I think there's a balance for me anyways, because
Mm-hmm.
my like the energy that guides me will ask for some specifics.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I was manifesting an apartment, and like I knew that the energy was guiding me, wanted to know like how much is your rent every month, and like what's your
Yeah.
rent? But then how it was gonna come to me was not clear at all.
Mhm.
And do you guys want to know how it came to me?
I do.
Of course.
Okay, so I was working at an art gallery, and I had this shift scheduled, and I know that it was a Thursday too, which is such a weird detail. But anyways, it was when I just randomly had this feeling like I can't go to work today. Like I just shouldn't go. And that had never happened before ever. And I was, trusting my feelings at that time. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna not go. And then I called and told them I couldn't go. And they were just like, okay, we'll see you at your next shift. Bye. And I was like, that was weird. Like they didn't even ask me why. Like I was like talking to the universe, like it's almost like they're in on it. Like they know I'm not gonna be able to be. Like it was so interesting. And I do think that that's one characteristic that I've experienced a lot is there's a lot of ease when I'm listening to myself.
Yeah.
Feelings and my thoughts. So much ease, like it just happens. And so I was sitting there in bed, like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I'm not at work, everybody. Like, whoever's guiding me, what's next? And it was just like crickets, like nothing. And I'm like,
Crickets.
what did I just do? Like, I just called out of work for no reason and I don't know why. And so one thing that helps me is from Bashar. Bashar says to do what excites you the most in every single moment. So the most exciting thing for me to do next was to text my friend Gabby about an open mic night that I wanted to go to. And so I just took out my phone, I was texting her, and she goes, oh, there's actually one tonight, and I'd love it if you could go with me. And I was like, well, I was supposed to be at work tonight, so maybe this is why. Like, maybe I'm supposed to be at this open mic because I'm supposed to sing a song. And that is what ended up happening. My friend Gabby and I, we sang together, and both of us were afraid of singing to the group of people, but because we did it together, it made it easier. And I was like, hallelujah, thank you, spirit guides. This is a great reason to not be at work because I need to sing. Like, so cool. And I'm just thinking, like, that's why this happened. This is so cool. And then Gabby's boyfriend offered to give me a ride home, and in the car on the way there, he started asking me about where I was living at the time, and I was subleasing from a friend of mine, and my friend wanted a bunch of different people to be able to sublease from him because he had a really cool apartment, and so he was kind of like kicking me out. Like he was like, you need to find a new place, like I want to have my other friends get to stay at this place. I was like, okay, so that's why I was manifesting a new place. It was kind of like necessary. And so my friend was asking me about the situation, and I said how I'm looking for a place. And he said, my friend is looking for someone to sublease their room in this other apartment, and it was $35 more than the amount that I wanted my rent to be. So it's pretty on point with the rent that I asked for. And it was a bohemian style, which is like my bohemian, I like bohemian style stuff. And it was like in the exact location that I wanted. So I had all the specifics. And then at that point I was like, maybe this is why I couldn't be at work today, because I was meant to do this. And I ended up living at that place for a year, and it was like an amazing blessing and perfect alignment. And it was all because I had a tiny feeling and a little voice that was guiding me to not go to work.
Isn't that crazy how it like snowballs and it's just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. And you think it's this big deal to like let down the people that you work for, but I didn't. Like, it didn't seem like anyone really cared. Like, it was okay. So crazy.
Written in the stars.
Written in the stars. Yeah. I love stories like that.
I love listening to your stories. They're so cool.
Yeah, my hope, especially with that story, like my hope with it is that it breaks rules or like regulations around manifesting things, and that like it can be different than the content that we watch and the books that we read, but also at the same time it could be the same. Like you could read a book and the book could be like step 1, step 2, step 3, manifest like this, and like it could happen like that. But it could also happen from being like, I'm gonna throw away all the steps and I'm gonna try it in my own unique way. Like there's so many possibilities. So I always want people to be in tune with all of the most amazing possibilities.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're in manifesting the institute. You know, I don't know what's between right now and it, but I'm eager to find out.
And I know that you're connected to the Institute,
Yes.
and that connection is guiding all of us.
Yeah. So the how, not sure. But
And isn't it thrilling to be in that in-between space?
yes.
Right? Like, I had a mentor one time tell me, she said, you are going to manifest everything that you ever wanted. And you're going to look back and be upset that you didn't enjoy the journey more.
Mm.
And that always sticks with me, where I'm like, yeah, like, how can I be in this moment more? And, you know, not choose that vibration of lack of, oh, I'm not there yet, and this isn't exactly how I want it to be yet, and I don't know how it's going to happen yet. Like, I think that's the state of being she was talking about when she said, like, you're going to wish you weren't acting like that, because it did happen. And so enjoying the way there.
Well, in this moment right now, I'm definitely enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
It brings like a lot of
Peace and ease to know that like you're headed in the right direction and that you don't have to stress about it. Like you just know that it's gonna come, even if you don't know
Yes.
how, you just know that it
Yes.
will. So just knowing that is like, it's great.
Well, sometimes I feel like I'm already there, you know, while I'm journeying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every single moment on the way there is a manifestation in itself.
Yeah, I watch, you know, when I watch the mathematical content, I enjoy that. And I mean, and I think about it and meditate about it, and that's already doing what I'll be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a like a well-known manifestation technique. The like, act as if, like, be the embodiment of the wish fulfilled.
Yes.
I
Act
think
as if.
all the manifestation teachers are applauding
Yeah.
for what you're doing, Michael.
Ari, do you remember when I made a video while I was cranky?
Yes.
And I was talking about that act as if, but I seemed like,
Oh, yeah, you were like, people tell me I should act as if, but I'm cranky. You're like, but I hate this. And was that helpful?
Was it helpful to act as if?
No, to make the
Absolutely.
video.
Oh, well, yeah, because it
I think
brought
it
it up
was.
for us to talk about.
I think it was helpful for you to like express who you really are in that moment.
Right.
And be like, yeah, I know that I could act like I'm in bliss and paradise, but
I'm in pain. I'm in pain and suffering.
Yeah, right now I'm cranky. Yeah.
You remind me of like someone that is like in a play sometimes. Like when I was watching the What If Guy video, I was thinking,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Michael is performing a whole play right now. It was good.
It was funny. When I was watching that, I was laughing a little. I was like, yeah, that's real.
Yeah, and it's like you're doing your deep inner work, but also bringing enjoyment and like laughter to people with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the What If guy and the Eeyore guy, and there are others. Over time, we'll meet some of the others that are in there. I can feel them.
Well, maybe we all have a bit of a multiple personality disorder.
I was just thinking
I
that.
was like, some people would think that would think you have that if you said that to them. But
Right.
like, that's so funny. I was thinking the same thing.
I think having like one rigid personality is a disorder.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for putting that in
Oh my gosh.
perspective.
I think claiming what a disorder is and giving it to a bunch of people is like really bad.
I almost wonder if it strengthens like that as like a reality because people are saying like this is what this is and like you have it. So then like you think that that's what you are, but it's not. Like it's just
Yeah.
an experience. So I think
Yeah, I
that can
had
be
my own
bad.
like ebb and flow with that with anxiety, where like at the beginning to be like I have anxiety was like liberating because I was like, oh, that's why my thoughts are so fast and so chattery.
Yeah.
But then I started meditating and my thoughts changed and I was like, no, I think I just experience anxiety in some moments.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was kind of in this moment right now, like I'm a little bit pissed off that it's not more talked about to meditate because like just meditating was so good for my thoughts to become like slower and more calm and more enjoyable for me to listen to. I'm really grateful that I never sought out like prescription.
Oh yeah. That's a tough thing, the prescription
Yeah.
world. Because like a lot of I mean, for some people they say that it helps them, but I really feel like there are other ways. I really do. I don't think that it's always necessary to do that. Maybe it does help someone, like a small few, but I just feel it just feels like it's not necessary to me. Like in my soul it feels like it's not. But I don't know if that's true. Like maybe it is beneficial in some way. Like I don't know, but it's interesting though, like it really feels like a lot of people say like I have depression or I have anxiety or I have this and I have that. And like it like you were saying, it can be freeing to like kind of put a name to what you're feeling and like what's happening, just like with an emotion, like I'm angry or I'm happy. So then you can like kind of like our brains, they like to categorize, they like to have like an answer for certain things. So I think that can be helpful, but yeah, when you start like kind of identifying with it and like feeling like that is you, like you are that like that illness or mental difficulty, then it just I feel like it makes it worse almost at that point.
It comes to own you a bit.
Yeah, you start kind of letting that energy control you. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes telling somebody that they actually don't have a certain chronic illness will really piss them off.
I have seen that happen.
Yeah.
I've also seen people like bond over having
Mm.
mental illness and they're like, "Ooh, you're depressed like me. This is so cool." And I'm just like, "What?" Why are we bonding over suffering all the time? I don't want to create that.
Yeah. I used to think that's what trauma bonding was, but it
Mm.
turns out that's a different thing.
But that's interesting that you say that. Because maybe that is kind of like kind of bonding. It is bonding in a way over like having a negative like thing happening.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's interesting.
And if your relationship with that negative thing that happened changes, then like the bond you're having probably should change with it. Like I think for me, that's in certain relationships where we've bonded over our personalities, those relationships have just ended for me because my personality has changed so much so quickly over my lifetime. So I try now to bond over depth and like more like vibrational states and intentions. Creating new earth together is a good thing to bond over.
That's a wonderful thing to bond over. Yeah.
I do like the idea of like having people in my life that know me and understand me, and like our connection is long term. Like I like that idea, and it is cool to be conscious of what does bond us, because I think that can help make the connections last longer.
Yeah. And maybe also like
Not just kind of like connecting with people because you feel like you won't be able to connect with people. Do you know what I mean? Like you're holding on to like any connection you can get because you don't feel like
Oh,
you'll get the ones you want.
Yeah, like you have this expression inside of you, and you're like, oh, everybody's gonna hate that, so I can't say that. But then you'll never like actually meet your people if you're
Yeah,
afraid of that.
exactly.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
this piece of art with it's these two creatures, and they both are holding up a big mask, and both of them are looking for someone else that is blue, and both of them are blue, but they can't see each other because both of them have a mask on.
Oh,
So it
wait,
makes me
that's
think
so
of that.
interesting.
Yeah, and there's like a cute
Wow.
poem that goes with it
Hmm.
that's just like they're both searching for someone like them, but they can't see each other because they're both masking.
Yeah, that's another like reason why it's good to be authentic because then you authentically find other people that are also like you or authentic too. It
Yeah.
opens the doors for that.
Yeah. For all I know, if I told my boss about my spirit guides, he might say, "Oh, my spirit guides also," you know.
That's
Mm.
possible, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's good that there's so many different people on the planet also,
Oh yeah.
who specialize in other things maybe then. I don't know. But I can imagine that when I talk about chakras and things like that with people, that they would also some would be positive and other would be thinking like, what are you talking about, and do you believe in such things, and
yeah.
well,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
People
people
but
will have different views than you do,
but
but
it's
it's
still
like,
for me myself, it's also an exploration. It's also
hmm,
not set in stone, or it's it's like I've read books about it. I've thought about it, and after a while, you begin to believe in things, and like, slowly it shapes itself, in. So, but I'm glad that online and on YouTube that I find people like you that who, who share the same ideas, and
hmm and even in like some of
the differences, like our different experiences, we learn from each other and we get to experience like things from other people sharing those experiences. That's really cool. Like some of the things you guys have said, like you said you had a heart problem when you were born and you had like surgeries and stuff. Like when you were talking about that, like it gave me like a perspective, like that was someone else's experience, but I'm kind of hearing about it now. And that's kind of like, I don't know. Like we all have our own unique paths and experiences, and when we share them, it feels like we're bringing like, I don't know, it's the uniqueness of it all. It's just beautiful. I'm like, wow, I get to talk to someone who has had this experience and this person who's had this experience, and it's different from mine, but it's just so cool to know that that's who they are, or that's what they've had happen, or I don't know.
We enrich each other.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Hmm.
I also like what Carl said about things not being set in stone. I have that mentality too. I enjoy it because it helps me be open to so many different ideas. And sometimes I'm listening to a way of looking at life or a belief that someone else has simply for like the art of it. Like
Yeah,
that's a creative being that has chosen to put these different words together, and they've never been put together quite like this, and they've never been spoken in that tone before, and they've never, like, it's a new moment that has never happened before in every single moment. So it is really cool to like explore all the different minds that we are alive with.
yeah. Wow.
Not worrying so much about like who is right or who knows the truth, but rather how creative can we be when we don't really know the truth.
Yeah. That's the biggest truth, I would say, is like human beings, is like we have all these things, like some people may see things or they may think things, but we don't actually know the full truth. And I don't think we can in a human body. So it's like
Yeah, like
it's kind of distressing to try to do that.
a couple weeks ago I was meditating on universal truth, and I was like, I wonder if I could like make some universal truths, like not make them but find them. And like the first thing I thought of was that like everything is possible for every person, and then I meditated on it and I was like, no, that's not true, because it is not possible for the elephant to show up right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I did find something that was not possible, and I was like, I could say most experiences are possible for most people. Like that could be a universal truth. But then for me to like announce it and be like, this is a universal truth, for me to feel comfortable doing that, I realized that I would have to talk to every single human being in the whole world, and I would have to ask
To
them
prove it.
what they think and if it is true, because who the heck am I to say this is the truth? I found it. Like whenever I see someone else being like that, I'm just like, how did you
Come to that conclusion.
where did you get this confidence? Because it is
Yeah.
misplaced. Because I don't know, we must be more considerate of the minds that are out of touch with what our own mind is experiencing. Like just because I see things the way I see them, I mean, no one else sees what I see. No one else sees what you see. We have
Yep.
we have an individual perspective that we need to consider the perceptions of everyone else too.
Yeah. I love that way that you said that. But like you said, you can't like put a universal truth on everything because you don't know the truth. And in doing that, like trying to do that, I feel like it's good to try to find like commonality in a lot of things. I feel like it helps people, but like when you say like this is the absolute truth and nothing else could be true, or like it's putting a condition on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes against it. Yeah, it's like the truth is this like set in stone. No, it isn't. It feels fluid almost. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of that would be a universal truth is the speed of light.
Mm. Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
and this is a reason why I think that skydiving can be a spiritual experience, because right now, thinking that I can't hold on to anything and nothing's true, I really do feel like I'm falling out of a plane right now. It's that feeling of there's nothing to grip onto.
The ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
And that can be comfortable because it's like, woohoo! Earth looks so cool from up here.
When I think about universal truth, is maybe the concept of love. Maybe can be universal truth. If
Hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
in certain
The
ways.
things we all feel innately.
Connection.
Yeah. Hmm.
Is there
Yeah.
a like a 4-person truth that we might want to wrap this up to?
Oh,
I gotta
yeah.
go eat dinner actually, so
Yeah. Boy, I wonder how long this
Well,
one's going to
we're
be.
on for 6 hours now, so
That's so long.
6 hours.
But I enjoyed every minute.
Yeah.
it's been 4 since no
4.
3? No.
3 maybe.
We started at 4. 3 hours. Okay.
That's
I
a
can do
record.
math, I promise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one time I watched a 3-hour long YouTube video. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
They can skip through it again if they feel
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Good on you if you're here. You're awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
You can comment the word acorn if you're here.
Okay. Acorn. Comment
The code
acorn
word.
if you
Acorn.
watch this whole thing.
And we'll shout out you.
Yeah.
We could do a shout out in the next tea time.
Yeah. Ari, it looks like it's getting dark where you are.
Yeah, the sun already set.
All right. Well,
well, it was a delight. Huh?
it was. And
Yeah.
we're always looking for others to join our conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lune, why don't you do the honors again?
Oh yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
the little
outro, they call them.
I saw you do that in one of your videos too, and I was like, oh, it's catching on.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I hope you're well. And if you're not, I hope you're well soon. And we'll see you guys in the next video, the next tea time. Goodbye.
Yeah.